Welcome to the Get Real Podcast, your high-octane boost of full-on reality therapy for personal, business, and investing success with your host, Ron Phillips, because somebody's got to tell it like it is.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Get Real Podcast. Ron Phillips here. I got back from speaking to, somewhere between 700 and 800 property managers at the the National Association of Residential Property Managers, NARPM conference. They had their annual conference this year. So I was surrounded by property managers for 3 days. It was fantastic. I got to say, I love property managers. They are the key to making this whole thing work. Everything we talk about on a weekly basis, they're the ones who actually make this thing sing. So if you haven't, take this opportunity to send an email, shoot a text to your property management company, let them know that you appreciate them and everything they're doing. In spite of the fact that maybe you've got a property that isn't performing very well, you should be grateful for your property management company. And if you don't have a good one, well, then get a good one and be grateful for them, because they work really, really hard on our behalf, and they do it for a very small, in relation to property values and the returns that we receive, a very small amount of money. I talked to them about a few things when I spoke from stage, and one of those things I wanted to talk about today, and then just kind of talk through the different age brackets that are buying properties. It used to be, when I started in the business, that primarily the people that we would talk to, they were somewhere between 50 and 65. They were basically only thinking about retirement. They were trying to figure out how to make things work so that they could enjoy their retirement years. Man, I don't know when it started. Maybe 8 to 10 years ago or something like that. The age range started to skew much, much younger. And, today, one of the things that I mentioned from stage was that number is much, much younger. I mean, we see people in their mid to late 20s who are starting to buy investment properties. And I think a lot of that comes from the fact that Wall Street got involved, and it became something that was written about pretty openly in a lot of media sources. I mean, if you think about it, you probably heard about it because you've been interested in real estate for a while, but the mainstream of America really didn't know a whole lot about this, this strange asset class of, investment properties. And even if they had heard of it, it seemed too complex to make it work. But here comes, Warren Buffett in 2012 saying that, and I think he kind of started to change the landscape, because when he was, I can't remember what program he was on, but I mean, he basically said if he could buy a few thousand of them, he would buy them. And it was because of interest rates and the prices of the homes and everything at the time, he would buy these properties. But then he said the problem was the management. The management was the issue. Well, that's just not the case anymore. Management is not a problem. And so when Wall Street got involved, they kind of figured out that you could do what we've all been doing forever, and since, I think everybody has heard me say that people have been investing in real estate since Moses was a baby and before that. So this isn't new, but all of a sudden there was this new thing for Wall Street. And that, I think, made it more mainstream for people. And then I think the younger people started going, hey, well, why can't I do this? I should be able to do this. And so we've seen people, again, like mid to late 20s, definitely all through their 30s, 40s. We see more people in their 30s, 40s than we do 50s and 60s now. Well, we still see people in their 50s and 60s buying properties, but we see it's skewing so much younger. And so that led me to think, we had a question from a listener who was like, well, I'm trying to figure out this whole end of work life phase with real estate. Like, how does this work? We talk a lot about on the show, building wealth and using these to grow your wealth. But I don't think we spent a ton of time at least if we have, it's been a long time since we've talked about how real estate works for, different stages of life, cause for young people, the cash flow is probably less important. I'm not saying that for everybody that's the case, but for a lot of people, it's more growth minded. They have a lot more time. They got great paying jobs and, so in an early stage of life. Well, maybe not the same thing for everybody who's investing in real estate. So what does it look like to buy properties and then keep them for retirement? And I got a couple of things that I wanted to mention that I think people don't really think through. And that is, you can have one of the ways that you can really set yourself up in retirement is to have paid off real estate, paid for real estate that just, you get the net operating income. You don't have to worry about a mortgage. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, obviously, but it is one way that we don't talk about a whole lot here. And so I wanted to chat through it really quick, because if you're in your 50s and you're trying to figure out, in the next 10 years, how can I do this? Well, one of the ways is to use the cash flow from the properties that you have to pay off the debt that you have on the other properties. And it works really well. It works exceptionally well in retirement accounts. And so I wanted to really quickly focus on that and just show you guys how this, I can't show you, but talk to you a little bit about how this works. So in brief, if you have a retirement account, let's say you have a traditional IRA and you have a Roth IRA. By the way, any of your 401ks, the majority of qualified plans can be rolled into a self-directed IRA or traditional IRA or Roth IRA. And those can be self-directed. So self-direction means that you can actually buy real estate inside of your retirement accounts. It can own it, right? And so if you buy, let's say you buy a property, and you can actually finance those properties. So your IRA can go get a loan. It's called a non-recourse loan, and you can buy them on leverage. It's usually about 40% down instead of 20% down. So now you have more cash flow that you have to work with, and you can use that cash flow to then pay down the loans. And for the most part, depending on what the return of the property is and all of that, you can pay those off in between 5 to 7 years. So if you have a bunch of money that's sitting in a retirement account and you want that retirement account to act kind of like an annuity when you're in your retirement years, well, you can do that using real estate. But the cool thing about this type of quote unquote annuity is that you never cannibalize your capital, because you're utilizing the cash flow from the properties to live, and the assets still there. It's still increasing in value over time. And so you're getting the cash flow off of it, but you're not cannibalizing the amount of money that you need. Many times when you go talk to a financial advisor, they tell you how much money you need, but part of the money that you need to be able to retire is being utilized. It's being cannibalized. So only a part of the return is what's actually paying for your life. What I love about the real estate piece inside of a retirement account is that if you do it the right way, it can actually take care of your life and expenses and not cannibalize your capital, which means you can leave that to the next generation. You can sell it and still level up and buy more. You can buy more properties that give you more cash flow, and you can live a better life throughout your retirement years by doing that. Now you can do that inside and you can do it outside of a retirement account. The reason I bring it up inside of your retirement account is because I don't think we spend enough time talking about that. It's a very powerful way to have, if it's in a Roth, it's tax-free rent, tax-free income for the rest of your life. and for your children's lives and your grandchildren's lives. It's an incredible thing that you can do. And so I encourage you, to make that happen. And because it's this time of year, if you're thinking about doing something like that, not in your retirement account, but outside of your retirement account, in either way, if you're trying to do it before the end of the year, you really should get on it. Because right now, when you're listening to this, as I speak, we're getting really close to the point of no return on the ability to actually close a property. Because believe it or not, title company, there's a whole bunch of people like title companies and lenders and us and inspectors and appraisers. All these people have to be lined up to be able to close properties. And guess what? Everybody takes a vacation at some point during this time of the year. So if those are in any way spread out and we're waiting on another person to get something done, it's not going to happen. So if you're trying to get a tax write-off before the end of the year, on properties that you were going to buy anyway, you really need to be doing it like right now. You need to be looking at properties, contracting them right now and getting through the steps to close. And if you want to get together and put together a plan for, whether you're young stage in life, whether you're trying to figure out how the heck to get out of work and retire, whatever phase of life you're in, we can help you put together a wealth plan that will work for you, no matter where you are. And so I encourage you to reach out, invest@rpcinvest.com, invest@rpcinvest.com. And, please reach out to us and we'll schedule something with you and, put you on the path so that you can either retire or grow your wealth, whatever it is that you're trying to, accomplish. But in any case, you got to get out there. And until next time, make something happen.
This has been the Get Real Podcast. To subscribe and for more information, including a list of all episodes, go to getrealestatesuccess.com.